Planning Commission meeting for May 1st. And if everybody could please turn your phones to the silent mode or turn them off. And with that, we'll have our pledge of allegiance. Richard, you're going to do it.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Can I get a roll call?
Chair Algauer,
Here.
Vice Chair Hicks,
Here.
Commissioner Beck,
Here.
Commissioner Chester, Commissioner Higginson, Commissioner Snodgrass.
Here.
Commissioner Vick.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments not on the agenda?
No public comments on items that are not on the agenda. And then I also want to note that Commissioner Higginson and Chester both had reached out ahead of time that they were not going to be able to be here today. So they are excused absences.
Okay. All right, now we need the consent agenda. That would be the minutes from February 28th.
Yeah, so the consent agenda includes two items. It's the minutes from February 28th and the minutes from March 20th. And so Planning Commission can vote on them individually or both of them as part of the entire consent agenda.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see the 20th. Okay. So we need approval for the February 28th and March 20th. Can I get a motion?
I'll motion to approve both of them.
We got a motion.
I'll second.
A motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Guess I'll take us into our first item. And that would be, am I right here, with the lunar signs?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and Planning Commissioners. Today I bring before you item number 3, a land use compliance review for the architectural review of a proposed 6-foot tall, 24.3 square foot monument sign at a warehouse previously approved under case number 21-138. The parcel is within the regional commercial land use district and is within the freeway corridor specific plan. It is, the site is currently under construction with the previously approved warehouse. But the sign was not reviewed under that previous review. That sign is proposed to be at the southern portion of the property at the entry and exit for the site. It is proposed to be 29 feet from the front property line and remains out of the clear sight triangle to allow visibility from vehicle and pedestrian traffic. Per the development code, the Planning Commission reviews all monument signage, and that's why we're here today. Here's the monument sign. It is proposed to tie in with the existing building and site. It's designed as an entry statement and again is non-lit. It is double-faced and has a peak height of 6 feet tall. The ultimate recommendation is that the Planning Commission consider and if appropriate approve the land use compliance review number 24-028 subject to the conditions of approval as contained in the agenda packet. Find that the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15.311 of the state CEQA guidelines. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, I am here to hopefully answer them.
Okay, the applicant is, I want to make,
The applicant is not present tonight.
okay, all right. With that, we'll just close the public hearing. See, you don't have any comments, do you?
No comments, and this isn't necessarily a public hearing, but just a discussion item, so, but no comments were received on this item.
Okay. So I guess we just move to the commissioners. Okay, commissioners? Anybody have any comments, questions for staff or anything? Is this the normal size for a monument sign?
So monument signage can range anywhere between, 2 feet tall all the way up to 25 feet, and so that's why the process is there for review. A monument sign can be up to 25 feet tall, and so, definitely some additional discretion that, may be warranted.
Yeah, this is more of an extension of the architecture review process, and so in councils of past, they wanted to make sure that any proposed signage was also considered as part of the overall architectural package, which is why this comes to you, and they weren't necessarily ready for the sign dimensions when the project was originally approved with the architecture, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we have a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Who seconded it?
Richard.
Richard seconded it. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, 5-0. Okay, next item on our agenda is case number 23-106, a conditional use permit and architectural review.
So we'll open the public hearing and Christian will do the presentation.
I first do want to apologize. I'm getting over a bit of a cold, so if I have to cough a little bit, apologize for that.
That's okay, well, it's acceptable.
Thank you again, Honorable Chairman and Planning Commissioners. Today we're looking at case number 23-106, conditional use permit with architectural review to permit a 6,490 square foot building consisting of a 4,130 square foot service bay and 2,360 square foot of office space with an outside truck and trailer sales area and a freestanding sign designed as a vintage milk truck with a minor variance to allow a 40% reduction of the front yard setback to accommodate the building, which is to be located at the intersection of Calamasa and Avenue G. Further, a lot merger will be processed to consolidate the two lots into a single lot, and the applicant is Senate Transportation. The site is located across two contiguous parcels, which total approximately 3.7 acres, which are again proposed to be merged as a condition of approval. The project also includes a request for the city to relinquish right-of-way at the southern portion of the site, a paper street that has no design to be used. It is again located at the intersection of Calamasa and Avenue G. It is adjacent with the I-10 freeway. It is improved currently with the billboard and a rough graded pad at the southern portion of the site that includes base material that was there as a part of a previous temporary use permit. The zoning for this site is IC or community industrial, and that site is surrounded by similar IC uses with the I-10 freeway to the west. Nearby uses include Advantage Paving, vacant lot, open lot storage, and Dinosaur Tire. The conditional use permit itself consists of the construction of that 6,490 square foot building, which is broken down into approximately 4,000 square foot of service bay area for the repair of trucks that arrive on site, with approximately 2,360 square foot of office space split into 2 stories with a bottom story and then a mezzanine on top. It has an approximate has parking on either side of the building with approximately 2 acres for staging and storage of the for sale vehicles, and the remainder of the site, approximately 0.5 acres, is to be used for landscaping. The operations of the site include the storage, repair, and sales of commercial trucks and trailers with the associated office use, and has approximately 15 employees. The hours of operation are proposed to be between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. The architectural design of the building is inspired to tie into some of the other metal buildings along the I-10 freeway, such as Golden State Glazing, Hillwood Good Route, and Markarian Law Office, and is designed to tie in with the design colors for Senate Transportation. So the building has a silver setting and baby seal roof, with window pop-outs and a perimeter trim painted jazz age blue and doors painted a red craft. The site is to include a block wall along the side property lines with an 8-foot fence along the I-10 freeway that's to be planted with vines. This also includes a land use compliance review for a freestanding sign that's to be visible from the I-10 freeway. That sign is at the northwest corner of the site and is designed to tie in with the colors of the building in the form of a vintage milk truck. The sign is proposed to be 16 feet long and 9 feet tall and has a total of 192 square foot of sign area on either side. It has a peak height of 15 feet and features a stacked stone base with a stuccoed pylon post. The landscaping of this site has an emphasis on the screening along the I-10 freeway. It's to be densely planted and requires high-quality screening for the commercial vehicles that are on site. Again, there are dense buffers along the I-10 as well as on Calamasa Boulevard to kind of soften what can be, some commercial trucks that are going to be there. It will include ornamental trees and shrubs along Calamasa Boulevard and a landscape detention basin at the front corner of the property with perimeter planting to provide separation between uses, as well as the block walls between the north and south property lines, again, with an 8-foot planted chain link fence along the I-10 freeway. As to the minor variance request, the site is somewhat teardrop shaped and it pinches towards the southern portion. And so that's where the building is proposed to be in order to provide the before mentioned screening for the staging area and overall maneuverability. The building is proposed to encroach into the front setback approximately 40%, which would be a minor variance request. As well as that substandard setback, there are several other substandard setbacks as noted in the agenda packet along Calamasa Boulevard. As a part of the project review, notices were sent to all neighbors within 300 feet of the project and no responses were received. For the environmental review, pursuant to the CEQA guidelines, this project qualifies for a Class 32 environmental exception as it's considered infill development with a Class 11 categorical exemption to cover the accessory sign and a Class 5 categorical exemption for the minor deviation in land use for the minor variance. Here are a couple of site photos of the existing site. And it is staff's recommendation that the Planning Commission conduct a public hearing and approve measures 1 through 6 as contained in the agenda packet. I'm here if you guys have any questions. I believe that the applicant and his representative are here as well, if you guys would like to talk to them.
Okay, with that, did the applicant wish to come up and make a?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and member commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to be here again tonight. My name is Dan Haskins, Land Engineering Consultants, P.O. Box 541, Calamasa, California. We've worked diligently with the staff and worked through a lot of the kinks on the project. A lot of the concerns were with this view shed screening from the freeway as well as Calamasa Boulevard. So we were able to work with Steve Franken, the city landscape architect, and get those concerns satisfied. Fences were heightened and the chain links will be coated. Won't be anything, shiny out there. They'll all be coated with a coating, probably black in color or dark green, one of the two. That hasn't been completely chosen yet. But all of them will be planted with vines, irrigated well, and then we'll have, evergreen trees, plants, shrubs, all that will maintain the green belt year round. It won't be something that will lose its leaves. The project overall, I think, worked out well. We definitely have satisfied the client's concerns. He's been in business for years. His family has done this for years. And one correction to the business name, it was stated as Senate Transportation. It's actually Senate Semi-Trailer Incorporated. So that's just a correction for the record. He's not a transportation, so to speak, business. But we read the conditions. Other than just couple little minor comments, it was a note that Western Heights Water would be serving it, and it's actually South Mesa Water Company, no big deal. And then the only other concern was condition number 66, whether or not the project would be a part of a interim signal cost participant over there at County Line Road and the freeway. And
in our review and our discussions with the city, we don't believe we're gonna comply with the hours. You need so many trips per day or so many trips in a peak hour, and based on the use of the business, he's not even gonna get close to that count. So we're probably gonna work with, during the final engineering process, just get a traffic letter from the traffic engineer, and we'll go ahead and, if that's satisfactory to the city, we'll mitigate that with the letter. Other than that, all the other conditions of approval we're in agreement with, and we're here to answer any questions as the engineer, surveyor, and the building designer so far. And then the applicant, Mr. Cliff Sennett, the owner of the business and the owner of the property, is also here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, you mentioned the hours of the business is because trucks and the noise. There's really only that mobile home near there, that mobile home park? Isn't that right?
Yeah, there's a mobile home park. It's down a ways, though.
It's further
It's
down.
quite a bit north, it's probably close to 900 feet north on the opposing side of Calamasa Boulevard.
Yeah, there's two in the vicinity. The other one's on Avenue G, but that's
Yeah, Avenue G is
other
about
further down as well. So yeah,
another-
there's some separation, and then based on the roadway, the shortest path, the site was kind of designed in wide conditions. 66 was there. It's presumed that that County Line Road would be the preferred intersection, so they would be going away from the one along Calamasa Boulevard.
Is this a strictly trailer sales, or is it gonna double as a short-term trailer storage yard as well?
He can speak, but I know it will be sales. He repairs trailers for insurance companies. Those will be done inside. He reconditions them. He has a lease company. It's full service for the trailer section. He'll sell new, used, restored, reconditioned.
Yeah, as long as it's sales, I think that's a pretty clear delineating line of like short-term storage overnight and the amount of truck traffic that'll be in and out of there versus a sales, yeah. I mean, I think it's a,
Parking, that would just be space for inventory. Most of the repairs are done in Fontana, and then we'll park most of my finished inventory there.
yeah,
But
so
no,
that,
I don't have enough room, even if I could do truck parking. But no, I did it in Rialto, and it does create a lot of 24-hour traffic. It's strictly gonna be a 9 to 5 operation.
yeah, that nullifies the concern with the heavy truck,
Sorry
so.
to interrupt.
Oh,
No,
Thank you.
I think it answers the question that was asked before, so.
Okay.
In other words, you won't be doing any painting out
Oh,
there.
no, we couldn't. It wouldn't be, with AQMD, it wouldn't be legal. So I have paint shops in Fontana. We'll send the trailers there. They get finished and then brought to our yard for sale. Sorry. So no, no painting. Occasionally, maybe tire repair if a trailer has a flat tire. Minor stuff if there's some kind of issue, light repair. But the majority of repairs won't be done anywhere near our sales facility. Yeah. We used to be on 10 acres, so we've had to divide up a little bit.
So coming off of Calamasa Boulevard, you've got an incline there, and then you've got trees planted. So on the top, you're putting a chain link fence? Why?
No, the chain link fence, JR, will be actually along the freeway.
Okay,
And then there will be a wall on the south property line, which is a real short distance.
Yes.
Adjacent to the old Dinosaur Tower, which he's now leasing that property and operating his business there now. And then that will have a wall with a fence on the top that'll be fully planted with vines on the south, as well as the north. The north will get a wall and a fence and all the vines in it with landscaping of trees and shrubs. But along Calamasa Boulevard, there'll be new curb, widening of pavement, new curb gutter, sidewalk, a small bench, and then a 2-to-1 slope up, and that slope will all entirely be planted with trees, landscape, shrubs, irrigated, and then at the top of that slope, there will be a wall, a decorative wall with pilasters.
that's what I'm getting at, okay.
So, yeah, it's gonna be a huge improvement to Calamasa Boulevard. As you can, if you've driven out there, the property's a mess right now. It's an undulated, it was an old dirt borrow site from the 90s that everybody robbed as much of the dirt as they could, so they left the poles and the sign standing, they took what they could. But so this is gonna be a definite benefit and an improvement to the area. But yeah, the Calamasa site is gonna be beautiful, landscape with walls. You really won't see the project because it's elevated above. And then we had only really one location to enter in the middle at grade. And that's why that driveway is located where it is on the development plan. We didn't have any other choice. So fortunately, it worked out. And that's what forced the placement of the buildings. And then, of course, the exit to Avenue G, we were forced to line that up to existing
One thing I do want to kind of note too, as part of the site design, to avoid, let's say, graffiti and stuff along the freeway side, is why we had them go with a fence and then vegetation, because that's a lot harder to have a bunch of people tagging on it. Right now, there is kind of a mismatch of broken chain link fencing, so we said, no, that needs to come down. Do a taller one that is color coded, and then have the vines on that. That way, it provides a solid screen along it, but it isn't necessarily an attractive nuisance for vandalism. So that was the direction that we provided to the applicant team.
Okay.
I think the only other concern is, I think it's great. I mean, it's gonna definitely improve the look of the corridor, freeway corridor, but, the credit for the permeability on class 2, I mean, there's almost 2 acres of class 2 base. And, I guess it's a problem for Landon at the water quality management level, but, yeah, just making sure that size to where the flow of water, I mean, you're going downhill once it hits that final drive and shoots straight into Calamasa Boulevard, you know?
Yeah.
So they do have a basin here reflected on the plan, and so they'll have to size that accordingly. The base, even though it's a impermeable or a permeable surface, because it's technically a parking area, because they're storing vehicles, that area does count as area that they will have to address through the WQMP. So they're not really getting that credit that you're kind of thinking
okay.
of, because it's a parking area.
Yeah, I've done, I mean, obviously, these are 2 unique years, but done projects in town that, seemingly aren't, up to snuff with water catchment, you know? It's been pretty crazy lately, so seeing them blow right by them, I'm just curious, so.
Yeah, currently the design, the way it is, everything is sloping gradual to a paved center roadway, and the pavement is all along the service bay area. It's wide, and then it collects down to 26 feet for the fire department. It goes all the way to G with full pavement. And then we tilt the entire road prior to G and push it into a curb and push it into the bioretention basin. So we've done and we'll make sure that all of that water, even in a 100-year storm, is gonna fisher off, collect, and go over that retention basin wall. Because the bioretention basins are required to have an interior wall with fabric, and then it's just man-made media, because there's no perk rate out there is the problem. You know, we did the job across the street for Advantage Unlimited Paving, and they had like a 0.3 to 0.5 inches per hour rate, and you need much more than that in San Bernardino County to get anything approved. But we were fortunate, and we got some relief a little bit from the city. Landon and Fermin were able to make that one work. But because we're just across the street, we're not anticipating we're gonna have any better results from infiltration testing. So we've already planned for the bioremediation basin. So that's why the design is the way it is. But I take your comment absolutely, and we're gonna tilt that water. We don't want any silt or any of the light fines of base going out into, because that's just gonna be a long-term problem. So we'll make sure and address it with the gutter dipping and shoving that water over into the basin, to answer your question.
Mr. Hicks? Yes, sir.
It's common for me to drive this road daily. I think my biggest concern is 32-foot half width and semi-trailers pulling in and out. Because just coming off of Avenue G, turning to the north on the frontage road can be difficult at times too. So I know the driveway is wide enough down at that, to make that 32 half width without going over, but I think that's my biggest concern, is just the speed of traffic coming down towards G from County Line Road well exceeds the speed limit on most days, so.
We agree.
No, they're a bit crazy.
Yeah.
We try to move all our trailers at night. My rental company, we do everything at night, mainly for traffic issues.
Yeah,
And it's something that I wasn't really aware of what you're talking about until I started renting that yard from Dinosaur.
yeah,
But we only sell maybe 10, 20 trailers a month. I mean, we're a small family operation. So
Yeah.
the rentals go out at night just to avoid traffic and that situation.
well, coming from G, the curvature of the road's in your favor, but coming out of your place is gonna be
Oh, yeah.
hard to spot coming down.
Yeah, we knew that was an issue, and that's why we had gone ahead in the application. You can see it on one of the plans. We did the sight distance lines, the grading is held back, the tows, and
Right.
we actually did this 53-foot trailer with the tractor turning movements to ensure that we
Right.
could stay on, turning southbound on our side of the road.
Yeah.
And then turning northbound, obviously, to get across. But you're right, the traffic, it's marked, the road's designed for design speed, it's signed.
Yeah.
Nobody pays attention to it anymore, and that's why the city's probably bombarded with, traffic mitigation requests.
Well, we'd all love to have another stop sign at G,
Oh, yeah.
to back it up even more, but
Hoping widening of the 10 there will address, because everybody then sneaks off and takes Calamasa to avoid the pileup right
yeah.
there.
Well, good luck in 5 or 6 years when that's all done,
Yeah, I got stories about that widening.
I'm gonna be here till I'm dead, so I'm dedicated long-term.
So as far as the location of the trees out on Calamasa Boulevard, are those set up on the top of the slope, or are they?
They'll be located all over the slope, but out of the sight distance lines.
Out of the sight distance?
Yeah,
line?
and again, there's code requirements for, separation.
But
and
this is
so it's gotta
even
be a
more-
combination and a mix. It's not gonna be like a single row, but our landscape architect, Sean from STB Landscape and Roads, is really connected with Steve Franken, and they've been talking.
Yeah.
So they're gonna work out all those, issues to the
Yeah.
city's satisfaction for sure.
So the billboard itself gone completely?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And the new billboard is planned, I think it's in Dinosaur's property, or the old property?
I can't remember if you guys have the Lennar sign or the Lamar sign.
Yeah.
It's Lamar, okay.
My
So,
property.
okay. So the other one is General Outdoor, and so I think there's a different program being signed for.
No,
for
it's,
those.
but I don't think it was on this property, though, was it? Yeah. Okay.
In other words, there wouldn't be a need going northbound on coming Calamasa Boulevard, a caution light maybe, because that turn kind of blind
I'm just
there.
gonna have to be, I think just gonna have to be just aware of it. If you're moving mostly at night, then
I guess nothing we can do about that, but
there's your 9 to 5.
But we're also, we're gonna add a lane and an emergency,
Yeah.
the whole.
Yeah, we're
length.
widening the whole road of Calamasa
I think
Boulevard,
just
so
that's
that'll
gonna
help.
provide a lot more
Okay.
safety in that situation.
okay.
Well, it should help.
Commissioners, any other questions for him? Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we have a public comment.
Dr. Hanson Wong? We do have one, which is Dr. Hanson Wong.
Oh, okay. Just state your name and address for our records, please.
Hanson Wong, Yucaipa, 35150 Court Street. Thank you for allowing me to make a comment. First of all, as a private citizen, I'd like to welcome this business into our city and want to thank them for considering looking at the road and the possible dangers of that area as well as their landscaping. So thank you for that. And if you're surprised because I'm saying something positive, shut it. But I am learning some things. I didn't realize that 40% change in setback is just a minor thing. I thought anything over 10% would be at least a little more major. I'm just wondering, we have setbacks for a reason. By reducing it by about 40%, will that cause any problems? And I don't know, it's just a query. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any others?
No other public comments on this item.
Okay, with that, we'll just close the public hearing and we'll move to the commissioners. Commissioner, any comments?
I just have a question, Ben, on the freeway side, the chain link fence out there. You have the Caltrans fence. Are they tied together at some point, or?
That, I don't know. We did a kind of a site view of it, and so there's kind of a mismatch of chain link kind of happening there.
Yeah.
Some of it's been kind of deteriorated because it's been there for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And so it was, we're not going to keep this as existing fencing as, okay, let's put something new that's consistent on the property line.
Yeah.
And then that way it's a little bit cleaner, but then two, with additional height, it'll allow the vines to get to the line of sight to help shield kind of the view, so you're not looking at a bunch of truck trailers. Just along there is a little bit tidier of a site layout.
Yeah, I know Caltrans won't let you remove their fence because it's a little heavier. I don't know, that section's been hit a few times, but that is an issue with cars coming off the freeway along that section that everyone's dealt with right in that area, that same contour to the freeway, but. Boy,
What,
where's my pen?
that chain link fence, the chain link on the freeway side, were they gonna plant any bushes or, that would grow up over the chain link fence?
So that was part of the landscape design. Is so on their property line, they'll do the 8-foot fence. And then on their side, they'll also have the planting of the different trees. So they have like the Wichita juniper or something else that maybe perform a little bit better, as well as the vines. And so as those vines mature, they're going to trail up the chain link or the coated chain link fence and then weave into that. So, yeah. So they won't have anything on the Caltrans side since they don't have the ability to do that, but it will grow up and create a solid hedge along their fence.
Okay, you got something?
I have the same question Dr. Wong had about the setback. Are we creating an issue with this by reducing the setback?
So we do have, and Christian do a little bit more detail as well, but the setback is reduction, so it'll still be 9 feet from the public right of way along that as part of the site design, because it does pinch down on where that kind of flat area is. There's not a lot of space to fit kind of different buildings. The lot itself and that lot depth is substandard, and so that's part of the justification that they're requesting for the variance. A lot of it's about the streetscape, having, kind of the change of different building designs. I think probably with the speeds that people do have, having stuff a little bit closer to the street probably will have an effect of helping kind of change how you view driving that and perhaps hopefully slow people down a little bit more.
So you don't expect any problems?
It's a tough lot to build on, so I think it's a great project from that standpoint.
Anyone else, Richard?
No, I think it's gonna be a great project for that area.
Kyle, you have anything else?
Oh, same agree. It's kind of an oddball thing, so you can make some use of it, then awesome.
Okay, Zach, we have any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 4.
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Hicks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, 5-0. Thank you, staff. You did a real good job on this. Proud of you. Thank you, Ben. You really did a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is case number 23-109. It's the density bonus agreement to allow 100% increase in units.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman Algauer and Planning Commissioners. Today, we have item number 5, case number 23-109, a density bonus agreement to allow.
Just to confirm, we're opening the public hearing for this.
It's what?
Opening the public hearing.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry about that. I kind of jumped over it.
Apologies, just
Okay.
to ensure that the testimony is entered in the public
Do we have any?
from staff.
Just mentioned as a formality, the perfunctory time requirement, so we just
Okay.
want to catch that.
Cool. Thank you, Honorable Chairman and Planning Commissioners. Today, we have case number 23-109, a density bonus agreement to allow a 100% increase in unit density on a residentially zoned parcel, and a conditional use permit with architectural review for a 52-unit age-restricted senior housing project that includes 2 accessory dwelling units and consists of 4 two-story residential buildings, including a clubhouse, barbecue area, community garden, and site landscaping at 34567 Wildwood Canyon Road. The site is located across 5 contiguous vacant parcels, which total 6 acres. The project involves a development area of only 2.86 acres on a split zone parcel with RM 72C zoning in the front and RL 2.5 zoning at the rear, with similar split zone parcels to the east and west. Yucaipa Creek to the south, and RM 72 to the north. So as a part of this project, they're requesting a density bonus request. That includes an alteration to the density. The project can yield 2 times the base density for a total of 17.4 dwelling units per acre, or a total of 50 units. The increase is consistent with permissible increase within the Yucaipa Development Code, and the density bonus request is not subject to discretion. However, the total gross density is 8.61 units per acre across the entire site. It also includes a reduction in parking pursuant to state requirements and the Yucaipa Development Code. As a part of this density bonus agreement, they're requesting a waiver for the 1-bedroom unit size, reducing the size from 750 feet to 702 square feet. As well as the phasing of this project would allow the project to either be built in one phase as a 55 and older project, or in multiple phases as a 62 and older project, to remain consistent with state law. The conditional use permit itself involves the development of 52 units across 4 13-unit buildings, including 2 fully integrated ADUs, which have the same floor plan as the 1-bedroom unit. It includes a clubhouse, barbecue area, spa area, dog park, and bioretention basin, 68 parking spaces as required by the development code, and a mix of vinyl and wrought iron fencing on the perimeter of the site. The architecture includes 2 building types, as well as a unique clubhouse elevation. It has a natural tone stucco with a darker trim and decorative vents to create decorative vents, as well as kind of unique layout to provide for private open space for the residents. The conceptual landscaping includes a mix of evergreen and deciduous trees, with emphasis on perimeter plantings and kind of an extra emphasis on plantings along the front. The conceptual landscaping should also note that there is a stamped concrete entryway to provide a little bit more of a unique entry feel to the project. And it does include a mix, again, of evergreen and deciduous trees and ornamental ground cover. As a part of the project notice for this, notices were sent to all property owners within 300 feet. 2 written responses were received in opposition to the project, citing concerns with traffic as well as the neighborhood fit. 1 email was received requesting additional information and had no further comment. And 2 phone calls were received as well, with 1 neighbor who is supportive of the project, citing the design and the need for senior housing units. Another neighbor who called having concerns with historic flows within the area, particularly flow entering the site. The fiscal impact of the 42,008 square feet using the 2023 fee schedule would be $375,131.44. As a part of the environmental review, it should be noted that pursuant to CEQA guidelines, the project qualifies for a Class 32 exemption as the development area is less than 5 acres. The site photos here show the existing condition of the site, and therefore it is staff's recommendation that you approve measures 1 through 5 as contained in the agenda packet. If you guys have any questions for staff, I am here to answer them, and the applicant is here as well.
So the density bonus is not just senior.
So it's only senior, either 55 plus for a kind of single phase development to maintain the 35 unit threshold for a senior project, or 62 plus in order to maintain this. Essentially, it's the state law requirement. It's either 55 plus or 62 plus for projects less than 35 units.
Oh, all right. Okay, anybody have any questions for staff at this time?
Can the city deny the reduction in the parking spaces and the unit size?
So the parking is consistent with the Yucaipa Development Code, so they could not deny that, and the reduction is a waiver, which also cannot be denied.
So even if we disagreed with this, there's no mechanism to deny it?
Why are we here?
I have a question on the ADUs. Can you explain those to me and what the,
So with a multifamily project, you can have as many as two standalone ADUs or up to 25% of the total units on site converted into ADUs. So this is consistent with state law as far as ADUs go.
but it's something new that we haven't seen before.
Okay, yeah.
So how, in this project, the ADUs, where are they actually located?
So they're taking the place, I believe, in building 4 of 2 of the units. It's 2 of the 1-bedroom units. So the floor plan is essentially the same. It's just kind of the designation of those units as ADUs.
Right.
So, yeah, they're designing it into the project, whereas we've gotten a few multifamily ADU conversions where the projects were existing and they've changed the spaces from.
So again, it's state law stuff and it's a way to get 2 extra units, right?
This is the January 1st passed, whatever that law was, the SB,
No, so this is ADU law, and that has been in place.
SB
although
9?
Frequently amended. No, it's not
Yeah,
SB 9.
this,
SB
I think
10.
iteration was either 2023 or 2022 of some of the housing laws that created the
I
multifamily.
thought this was part of that January 1st thing that went through.
Yeah, no, and I'm just trying to, I just want to be educated on it because I have not seen them before, so curiosity more than any. And it was, ADUs are 2 of 1 bedroom, so they're the same size as the 1 bedrooms that they're ADUs too, right?
Correct.
So they're both, what, 704 square feet or whatever it was?
Yeah, 702.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rather than them building the project and then adding the 2 ADUs, they just designed it so that the project looked uniform with those 2 ADUs as part of it.
Got it.
So the ADU would also be senior.
That is correct.
Okay, is the applicant here? Just state your name and address for our records, please, sir.
Good evening, John Najad, 420 North McKinley Street, number 111-105, Corona, California, 92879.
Thank you.
I'm the designer and the applicant.
Anyone have any questions for him?
How do I phrase this? Is there any chance that the architecture could change? These are just boring and very unattractive, in my opinion. I think I understand why they're ADUs instead of additional apartments now. But I know we're locked into this, and I hope everybody's listening that state law has locked the city into certain things now that we can't deny. But this is just, I don't like the looks of them. They're boring and unimaginative. And there are other people living in the area there now that I think would appreciate something a little more attractive. It's just my comments.
Anyone else have anything for?
Ben, on architecture, can't deny the project, but how much leeway do we have with architecture?
So I think when it comes to these, it's always worthwhile to have a discussion. We do have our citywide architectural guidelines that they'll need to provide conformance for, but it doesn't really get too specific in architectural styles and objective stuff with that. We'll say probably to some degree it would have been nice if Commissioner Higginson would have been here just to have kind of the architect kind of perspective. But it could be, recommendations just kind of leverage the design more into one particular architectural style and kind of leverage that and the color and materials to kind of balance that out. And I don't know if the applicant has some ideas as well that maybe can help get it there. We did provide some recommendations. I don't believe the applicant is necessarily an architect, but just,
Yeah.
comfortable with civil design. And so I think that's the lens that he takes to the project.
Is this actually an architectural review also?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
Can
So there
we,
is some leeway, so.
sorry, can we bifurcate the project? I know we have to approve the 52 units and the way it's designed, but can we bifurcate it and have the architecture brought back with something with a little more imagination?
I can review that question legally. I believe that there's a permit streamlining process that may preclude that kind of bifurcation, but I would need a little bit of time to review the code to determine that. Just
We'll give you 5 minutes. So is that a yes or a no tonight?
it's an I don't know, but I can look at the code and find out if you unless my colleagues know offhand.
Yeah, I'm serious. This already looks like it's a 50-year-old building or buildings to me, so.
If I may, I thought this is what the city wants. I just finished designing 100 units in Moreno Valley, and talking with the planners there, they told me that they like the new style, the flat roofs and the more modern looking, and I designed that the way they told me they like to have it. And it was my understanding that in this city, I don't see any modern looking apartment complexes or homes. That's why I designed it this way. I can design anyway. You know, I've been doing this for almost 40 years now. And I thought for this city, because of the neighborhood and the area, all the apartment complexes that I've seen, even the new ones, they're this style. They're, I don't see any other style around.
I think most of them have a little more detail to them, and we really don't have too much mid-century modern style, but I don't really see that as mid-century or modern.
Yeah, whatever the recommendation I got from the staff, I implemented their recommendations.
So we can certainly provide, if the applicant is willing and the commission has some direction, we can provide perhaps some detail and come back with the architecture. Based on kind of the site design, he does have a lot of kind of the gable end roofs, and so something like kind of where a craftsman, we could have a little bit of the trim differentiation where the peak is in some variety of color. Especially because he's calling out asphalt shingle, so if you do a little bit of a darker color, can kind of tie in a little bit with that motif a little bit better, have a little bit more earth tone colors. And that could be something that we could incorporate and wouldn't change necessarily the building design in any kind of measurable way, but the detailing would really make it kind of stand out a little bit different than what's kind of shown here.
What about some window treatments, like shutters, imitation shutters, or maybe some awnings above the second story windows or anything like that, just to
add some more detail and just a little
yeah,
bit more
because it's
character.
very plain. It's just very plain.
Maybe some kind of phony balcony of some sort, you know what I mean?
Juliet balcony, I think is what you're getting.
Yeah, those get a little, but yeah, I think, more along the lines of, I mean, and there's several styles that we see pretty regularly, but,
Yeah.
I think
But
this
like a little more craftsman, and this looks institutionalized to me.
it's very reminiscent of Creekside. I think most of new developments are vertical wall, box style,
And I
two-story,
hate
simple
'em.
construction, yeah. I think it's just a sign of the times. It's
Well,
yeah.
Now, and there's certainly room to add more detail, and that's something that we're kind of working on behind the scenes to add a little bit more specificity on certain standards. But if the applicant is willing, we can
please,
kind of come back with the architecture, at least have the entitlement for the project
Yeah.
itself, and then kind of provide a little bit of detail. It doesn't sound like it's anything substantial, but just will add a little bit more curb appeal. Certainly the landscaping, some of the color palette of kind of the mix of evergreen deciduous trees will add a little bit of flair too. And then using the building design, I think with the colors, especially for some of the crepe myrtles that will come in, that you could get something, that palette that works pretty well.
and as Commissioner Higginson would say in 15 to 25 years,
Yeah.
those will have an impact.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I would think, sir, if you're willing, if we approved with the understanding or with the condition that you would come back and modify the architecture.
Would you prefer or approve a modern European-style building?
That sounds intriguing.
Pardon me?
I said that sounds intriguing,
don't
depending,
know.
I mean, the modern,
I think square roof lines and stuff like that would stick out like a sore thumb. I think you're in the right vein with Craftsman gable ends. I think just dimension is all we're looking for, maybe color breakups, not just sheer 26-foot walls. Something to add some dimension to the faces of those.
I guess I can work with staff and.
we didn't do disclosures, but I did drive by the location today. The road was too narrow to stop and actually walk the site. Well, will you be improving the road through there any at all for parking and not just parking in the compound, but people actually traversing the road? It's almost a one lane. It's like a lane and a half right through there. And there's no way I could have pulled over anywhere to check this even, look at it even further. But the homes that I was able to see while I was still moving, I don't think it's a good fit. And I'm reading the 2 letters that were sent in by neighbors. And they're pretty much saying the same thing with the street. And I guess Wildwood traffic down there is picking up. And from what I understand, there's going to be a Wildwood on and off ramp on the freeway eventually too. So we're going to be seeing more traffic when that happens. So I'm a little concerned about that narrow street down there. And it's going downhill and the speed. The cars that did pass me were not happy because I was traveling as slow as I was. So that's just
The road is
questions.
going to be widened. I don't remember exactly by how many feet, but we are dedicating, how many feet is that in the plan? I don't remember.
So the road will be widened to the ultimate condition. Wildwood Canyon Road is an arterial street, which means that it's a 44-foot half width. So that's 44 feet from the center line to the proposed property line of this project. It's also going to be a 2-lane in each direction. So this project will have 2 lanes in front of it. Now, the properties adjacent to it will not be widened because they're not improved, but it does actually kind of provide a little bit of buffer because it's going to be so far set back. I know one of the concerns that a resident has was, these are senior drivers and you're asking them to come out. This, because it's so much wider than the adjacent properties, is really going to provide a pretty significant buffer for cars to pull out of this development.
So with those additional lanes, would those be like turn lanes? That's going to be a pretty short
That
set of-
second lane temporarily will act as a turn lane until Wildwood Canyon Road is widened completely. Eventually, 2 lanes in each direction will run the full length of Wildwood Canyon Road. Until that's done, then it does act as a turn lane. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just think, kind of echo what Donna said, we're seeing some of the new developments, some that were approved even before I was on Planning Commission, that are coming through now, and they're not what I would say are very attractive, and it's kind of the sign of the times, but I agree with Donna. We have a little bit of purview on design, and I would like to see us kick it up a little more than we have in the past.
So if it is amendable, then the recommendation would be to approve kind of A, C, D, and E, and then come back with B. The architecture review isn't a public hearing, so it'd just be once we kind of work through the design, we'll bring it back to a planning commission, and they'll be able to look at it, see the kind of proposed color materials, and then it sounds like we have some good guidance for the applicant to get us.
And I don't want to hold your project up, sir, not my intention at all, but if you're agreeable to that, I'm agreeable to making a motion to that.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's hold off motion.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
still have public comments.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for the?
No, I think most people would appreciate this over another mobile home park, which has been historically what Yucaipa senior housing has been. And these projects are great. They just got to fit the bill when we implement them, you know. You can't just shoehorn them into areas looking like Lego blocks. So I think that's all everybody's looking for up here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. With that, do we have any public comments, Ben?
One public comment from Dr. Hanson Wong.
Anson Wong, 35150 Court Street, Yucaipa, California. It seems like the commissioners have addressed a lot of the problems. There are a couple items I would like to understand better, and I guess I'll have to get a meeting with Ben or one of his associates. One of them, I don't see in the packet the traffic report, and hopefully they talk about widening the road, that they'll widen it before the project is completed and we have everybody living in that site to create the additional traffic. My math must be bad because going through the bonus densities for seniors, I don't quite reach 100% increase, so I'll have to ask Ben about that later because it just doesn't add up for me. But I do appreciate additional senior housing since I'm a senior, and I do know other seniors that would like to live in Yucaipa, but along with Commissioner Snodgrass, I'd like to see one that they would be a little happier and positive about the way it looks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
No other public comments, Liz.
They came in late, so
Oh, okay.
do we need to?
They can fill one out afterwards, but they can.
Just state your name and address for the records, please.
I appreciate it. Kyle Daughter. I live at 34570 Avenue G in Yucaipa, which is the property directly south. And if you will, I'll speak plainly because I'm not used to these types of settings. But many of my neighbors, as well as I, are concerned about this project, and many neighbors did not receive notices because they were sent out to that 300-foot radius. But most of the properties are more than 300 feet away, as they're 2.5, 3 acre parcels. The parcels adjacent to them are very large properties, so many of the neighbors I contacted did not receive notices. I don't know if that's the radius issue. They based the 300-foot radius off of what notices they sent out. But the other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that the project claims a categorical exemption for unit density. However, only half the site is multiple residential, and all the surrounding parcels are currently single-family residences. So my concern is that why would this project not require an initial study analyzing potential impacts, especially with the 100% density bonus? If you...
Sorry, but you can't direct questions to staff. Only the planning commission can do so.
What is it you're asking?
Yeah.
Why is this? Why would this property get a categorical exemption? It's an infill project, so basically they're saying, from my understanding, that it matches the surrounding area, but all the surrounding area are single family homes. There's nothing like that in this area.
Every parcel of land RM 72? That it's
I guess for a point of kind of procedure, the public comment is for the member of the public to provide testimony to the planning commission. Once that is done, it's not a dialogue between the commission, and then the commission can ask the questions to follow up on that question or comment that was provided. So it isn't necessarily debate kind of format, just as a rule of procedure.
I understand. My apologies.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I guess one additional one.
Getting up, going.
My name's Merwin Davis. I'm a neighbor to the project. Haven't done this before, but I just want to clarify a few things. I heard one of the, and I want to thank the commissioners that I had the opportunity to talk to all of you. Earlier, when you guys were beginning this, one of the commissioners made it evident that what you guys were thinking didn't have much of an impact. If you vote on something, I'm just trying to understand what your role is. Do you go back to the city and talk to the planning commission on evidence based on the public hearing today?
No, what they do is staff will bring to us the project. As staff's already looked at the project and considered everything, and then they bring it to us to, already prepared, and we have all these documents on that project.
So
for us to look
ultimately,
at.
you approve the project?
Yes, and then we look
Okay.
at the project and we consult as a commissioners.
Okay.
And we come back. If we have a comment or if we have some changes, we can make those we can insist that the builder makes certain changes.
Okay, I'm at the right place. So today I called and I talked to Christian. I'm the neighbor. You have a map on there. I would be the neighbor to the east of the project, right there. That's my parcel. That's a 4-acre parcel. And I got the notice today. I'm gonna defer to this guy too about the confusion, the way it's presented. I mean, I feel like I'm here last minute trying to get information on what's going on this particular project. So I kind of concur with that. First thing, I don't know if I'm out of line for this, but I've lived here 30 years. I've lived on that street for about 25 years. And the traffic at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is horrendous. I can't get out of my driveway. I have to let somebody stop and let me out of the driveway so that I can turn left or right onto Wildwood Canyon. So I know he lives on Avenue G. He doesn't suffer that particular part of it, but I do. And so I'm recommending that you guys look at some kind of traffic study. 52 units is a great deal. I mean,
Traffic studies are all part of the package when they give it to us. They've already looked at the traffic study and they've done their homework.
so I'm understanding there are no mitigation effects other than bringing the easement, the street easement to the property where they're going to be developed, which is what's been done on Wildwood Canyon every time they do a development. So the widening of the road is piecemealed and there's really no traffic relief. Now, I know there's a lot of places in Yucaipa, and 3rd Street would be a great one to have one of those turnarounds. But I don't know if that's in the books or not. That would be something to eventually consider to alleviate traffic. But 52 units is going to put about 100 more cars on the road. And at 3 o'clock, when those people go to pick their kids up from school, it's going to add to the problem. That's not really why I'm here, but that's what additional units will do. And I'm with this guy. I don't know how you get double the density. I don't understand how that works, because that's a good deal. So on my property.
Sir, I apologize. There's a 3-minute maximum for public
Oh,
comment.
yeah, 3 minutes?
And,
We're on 2.5 minutes.
We're 2.5 minutes.
okay,
But we wanted to,
it just is red flashing.
yeah.
Okay, so, and I know that this goes, so when I went to the city today or yesterday to discuss this, I ended up talking to him. I want you to look at this map and see this flow, this water flow that comes down. And heads.
Just as a point of record, the comments need to be provided at the microphone so that it can be picked up for members of the audience that are being recorded.
Can the commission see the waterway that's running on the property?
Okay, well, your time's up, sir, and I thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other public comments, Ben?
No other public comments.
I got gentlemen.
Oh, I guess one more.
One more public comment, sir. Respond.
Not yet, sir. Go ahead. Name and state your name and address for our records.
I came in late. Thank you very much. My name is Anthony Mistretta. I live at 34580 Avenue G. So I'm also one of his neighbors directly south of the project. Wanted to thank Planning Commission. I was actually not here too long ago myself for a project on my property, on the property just behind this project. And it was approved, and it's been very successful, and I appreciate everything that the city's accommodated for me and my family. One of the things that I wanted to echo that I heard earlier was this gentleman was right. The project was approved or was claiming a categorical exemption on the grounds of being an infill development project. And it says that infill development projects or this project in particular is surrounded by urban land uses. But half of all of the surrounding property is rural living 2.5 acre parcels. So I'm not quite sure how that would be an urban land use, being at least 2.5 acre rural living parcels, mine included. So in the categorical exemption, I'm not an expert, but with the categorical exemption, isn't that the mechanism to alleviate the project from conducting the in-depth traffic studies and things like that that would otherwise assess those potential impacts to all of those properties like mine and his noise, senior living? You know, it's so nice and quiet in the canyon. We moved there because we love that rural living district, right? You know, I'm all for senior living. My parents live in a 55 and over community, fantastic facility. But, you know, is this project the right fit for this location? Or are there going to be lights and sirens a lot? We have 52 units, assuming maybe 100 residents up there on a space that would normally occupy, what, 2 single-family homes, like all the other residences, all the way up and down the street and surrounding them. So I think it's a valid concern. I think it's a good question to ask. Also, the privacy. Again, we're down in the canyon. We have acres of property. All our families, we recreate down in the canyon on our own property. And when we look up that slope, are we going to be looking at a couple walls of windows, each with a different tenant overlooking our property? And, you know, you look up in the canyon now and you see some single-family residences all up in the canyon.
We'll ask you to wrap it up, please.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and so anyway, the view. So is there any action being taken to any sort of screening or anything that would maintain all of our privacy down in the canyon from all of this cluster of residents right over us?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have any more, Ben?
That concludes the public comment, and then if the Planning Commission would either like part of it, the applicant can provide his rebuttal, and then
Right.
I can answer some of the other questions that were raised.
Okay, so would the applicant like to come up and address some of these issues?
Thank you. I am allowed to have 25 single-family homes on this property, correct? 24 plus 2 ADUs. That's 50% of the 52 units. Now, if I build 24 single-family homes there, and each one has at least 2 to 3 cars, 3, 4-bedroom homes, there's going to be a lot more cars coming in and out of this project than this senior place, where seniors, if you go to any senior apartment complex, you stay there for an hour, you don't see anybody going in and out. Seniors are not like regular people that they have to go pick up their kids in the morning and in the afternoon and all these traffic. Seniors, I'm a senior myself, and most of my friends, they're all seniors. They don't drive much unless they have to, unless they have to go do a little shopping and come back. It's not like a regular apartment complex. I think one thing that people are not realizing, that they think 52 units and one person said 100 cars. First of all, we only have, I think, 70-something parking spaces, maybe even less. And they're not realizing that this is a senior complex. It's not a standard multifamily. But I just wanted to bring this up.
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
Not to the owner, to the staff, I'm sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So I can provide some feedback, I think, on the other kind of questions that are raised. So one, the separation, just doing a straight kind of aerial image of where the proposed buildings are and kind of the nearest, what could be habitable structure, which is at 34580 Avenue G, is over 570 feet of distance. A lot of the houses seem further, so you're looking at probably at least 800 feet of distance from where the nearest building of the proposed project would be from those residences. Second kind of comment, as part of the project notice, so we do project notice distribution around 300 feet from the property boundaries as consistent with the city's development code and procedures. One thing that the city also does is a project notice. This is in addition to what's required as public notice. So as soon as a project comes in and is routed for conditions, we also do a courtesy notice then. So at 2 different points of time, the notice about the proposal did go through to the neighbors as required in the city's development code and our standard processing requirements. And then kind of the last component that I wanted to touch on, or 2, I guess, as well, is as per the city's traffic impact analysis guidelines, the LOS study is only kind of required when AM or PM peak hour generators generated is more than 100 vehicles during that peak hour. So it's not necessarily, hey, you have 50 units and so you have 100 cars and that triggers it. The cars are distributed throughout the day during different periods. And then certainly as a senior project, they would not have students that they're taking to school. But that is kind of component, and this is for level of service. It's not an environmental impact pursuant to SB 743 of the or SB 743, which transferred the threshold impacts to level of service. And the last component is the Class 32 CEQA exemption. So this is characterized as infill development that meets the following conditions. Project is consistent with applicable general plan designation and all applicable general plan policies, as well as the zoning designation and regulations. So the subject area that's being proposed is RM72C. With the density bonus as listed in the city's development code, they're able to get 50 units plus the 2 ADUs, and so in that case, that is met. It is on a development area that is no more than 5 acres, substantially surrounded by urban uses. So this is development around the property. If a property is designated as rural living, that doesn't change how the property or that urban uses is categorized under state law. And then the property has no site for value for endangered or rare species. Certainly you have development that's occurred on other properties. It's not necessarily a wildlife corridor. Approval project would not result in any significant effects to traffic. So that's level of service is not a CEQA threshold, but it is within the capacity of the general plan and does not necessarily trigger a LOS study. Noise, air quality, or water quality. So the water quality is addressed through standard condition approval. And then the noise and air quality as a residential project is not having uses that's known for creating, dust plumes of material or PM10, PM2.5 materials that could be a hazard to other places is a residential use. And then the site can be adequately served by all required utilities and public services. So the property would be serviced by Yucaipa Valley Water District for water and sewer. And then the Edison lines are able to do that. And so they'll coordinate with Edison and their project planner to make those improvements. And so that is the requirements for the Class 32 or 15332 of the CEQA guidelines. And so that is met by this project. And I'm happy to add to any other questions or
If we have lots that cross the RL 2.5 and R72C, what are the limits for the building on that? Because these obviously boundary both, right?
Yeah, so there's a provision in our Yucaipa Development Code that kind of talks about split zone parcels. And so the way it's set up is you can apply the density to one area that's in the RM72 and then the other one for the RL 2.5. And so based on the development capacity within that planned area, they're able to get, as the applicant noted, it's 24 units total as part of that. With the density bonus, that puts it to or 25, so that puts you to the 50, and then with the 2 ADUs, that's where you get the 52. So
he's only building on 40% of the actual property usage. The RL 2.5 will still remain bare land.
Yeah, so it's the 17 units per acre on the RM, but when you apply the total site, it's less than 8.7 units per acre, which would be the RM 72 base density as well.
Okay, with that, I think we'll close the public hearing and then move to the commissioners. And if they have any more questions for staff. Question I have, when you do your traffic study, you do take into consideration the fact that it's a senior project and there's less traffic.
Yes, so that is calculated as part of the ITE calculations. It's based off of the usage and the zoning, so it does calculate that senior housing generally has a lower traffic generation than a standard multifamily would have.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Tony.
I know, gentlemen, it's all confusing if you haven't been through this. But basically with a senior development like this, it meets all the standards the state gives us and the thresholds. Ben, could we deny this project?
So that's where the Housing Accountability Act comes in, is if it does meet all objective standards as part of the city's development code, the ability to approve residential projects is a very, very narrow lens, and this would not meet those thresholds.
You would have to make particular health and safety findings, which undermined the ability of this project to be built. So not solely saying it's inconsistent. The requirement to deny a project of this nature is very specific and requires fairly rigorous findings by a planning commission. That's not to say that they can't ever be made. Simply to put, they're very specific and must be outlined by the planning commission in order to deny a project of this nature, just based on the state legislation related to these types of projects.
And gentlemen, this is one of the representatives from the city attorney. And basically the state of California has our hands tied. If they meet all the requirements for a project like this, they get the density bonus, they get everything that they're asking for on this. And the only thing that I can offer you is, one is there's a retaining wall, this item 28, that sits along the wash side that would face G. It looks like from the nearest pad, there's a 40-foot difference in elevation from the bottom of the wash to the pad. And then you're setting a good 100 feet from the top of the slope to the first buildings that's set on that side. So you've got parking, and I think we can ask for some additional trees on that side that would block some of the view from those units out into Avenue G. But on top of that retaining wall, Ben, is there a fence? Is that a vinyl? It doesn't call it out as a vinyl fence, or?
It's a wrought iron fence.
It's an iron fence on that side?
A wrought iron?
Yeah.
There is no retaining wall there.
Oh, 28? Maybe I looked at it wrong. Yeah, it's calling it out as a retaining wall on 28, which shows the entire perimeter of.
Usually if there's a retaining wall, it shows the top of the wall and bottom of the wall.
Well, it calls it out on your notes as a retaining wall.
I think that's a typo.
I think you're looking at item 29 potentially at the southern portion of the site.
Is it 29?
So
Yeah, the exhibit showing
My
where the
eyes are
fence
getting
is
old,
29.
It is 29.
But 28, you are correct, on the legend, it is a
28.
retaining wall.
29's a
Wrought iron fence, okay.
29. So what are you looking at?
Well, it's all of this fencing all the way along.
27. You're not talking about this, are you? This
No.
is 29, that's the wrought iron
Yeah,
fence.
this is top of the slope.
And this is 27.
So you have the slope down, you have a 40-foot difference in elevation between the bottom of the canyon.
Yeah, yeah. I
And,
get that. I'm trying
and
to find
this.
28 up here. What are you looking at?
Well, I was looking at this, that's actually 29.
That's 29.
Yeah. Donna has her glasses, I apologize.
I'm lucky I have good vision. One thing to note, I guess, to that point, so the benefit of how the site design is kind of the parking for the residents is further south before you get to the building, so the separation is larger.
Right.
There is a landscape planting along there too, so you do have that additional screen. There's trees proposed, and they could kind of prioritize a little bit more of the evergreen trees, so the Aleppo pine may be kind of a thing that they can kind of prioritize along that area to create a more year-round screen.
So is the landscape design finalized in this bin too?
They provide the conceptual landscape palette. You know, certainly we don't have them do the exact construction landscape plans, because once they do the utility and all of that stuff, we want to make sure that it's not totally set in stone, but we can work with them to ensure that that detail is
Density
included.
of planting on that side to provide a screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get that back on the architectural review.
No, we don't have this is the architectural review.
Right,
Well-
but I mean, we're asking to bring it back.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
just thinking, we asked them to bring it.
yeah.
Yeah, when, if the motion is to do A, C, D, and E, when they come back with B, we could just have that as a line note for
Okay.
the landscape plan, that the evergreen screen along where that planting is.
I have a question, Ben. Do we have to cast a vote on this item?
In terms of,
So it has to be a 3-2 yes vote to pass, correct? But it cannot fail.
it would require, the 3-2 vote. If it is denied, those findings would have to be clearly spelled out. Otherwise, the city would be at risk of being essentially fined or sued for each lot or unit that was denied.
There has to be a
So-
reason for the denial.
Sorry, was the question what type of action you can take, or was it exactly what type of vote is necessary related to this project? Because if you're asking if there are other actions that can be taken, you can continue the public hearing on this matter to a date certain if there are matters that are outstanding. Or you can take a vote to determine the yes or no on the project itself. So an action that the continuation of a public hearing is an action that is an option for the board, but I would also caution you that there are only a certain number of hearings that can be held for projects of this nature, like a maximum number, and I would look into it, but ministerially, so we would want to caution even a continuation of a public hearing would be a second hearing, and then you've asked for a review of the architectural design, that would be a third hearing before the local
So
governing authority.
SB 330 establishes the cap at 5.
Yeah. So
Okay.
just to note that.
And it's
for the
5
record.
within a certain window of time, right?
So the SB 330 limitation is 5 different hearings related to the item. There's a separate law that has been on the books for a long time, which is the Permit Streamlining Act, which does establish once a project is deemed complete, the timeline that which a decision has to be rendered on the project needs to occur unless the applicant waives it and it's mutually agreed to. Otherwise, then the project ends up being automatically approved. And so there's two different laws.
Well, I think the end result is the same, whether we make a decision on it tonight or try to push it off. And the applicants agreed to work with us on both the architecturals and hopefully, would you agree to work with us on the landscape too as part of those architecturals?
That is part of the architectural.
The landscape right now, this is only conceptual.
Exactly,
There's
so.
no,
we'll s-
it's
we'll
not,
s-
we're not required to have a full landscape plan until we have all the grading and all the
So I think
utilities.
the recommendation is we would just add to the conceptual plan that the southern planting be an evergreen tree variety. That was, I think,
Yeah, I agree to
extent
that,
of
yeah.
the recommendation.
So I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, sir. So we could approve the project with A, C, D, and E, and then continue B. Okay. Anybody else have any other commissioners have any questions?
I need to
Go
make
ahead,
some
Meg.
comments, because I know this is confusing, but there's a lot of things going on, and I want the residents to understand that I would be as unhappy as you are right now. But this is an infill project, which has specific laws now written by the state in the last, 5 years? For infill projects, that's changed the picture. The density bonus and some other laws that took effect as soon as January 1st this year made massive changes in the housing and development laws. And this landowner is meeting all of those new requirements, plus the city code. So voting no is not an option on the project. So the best I see I can do is try and fix that architecture so you have something better to look at. And I'll second the motion.
You what?
No motion.
It wasn't a first motion.
I made the motion.
No, I did not make a
Okay.
motion.
I'll make the motion
Okay, there you go.
And I'll second it.
to approve case number 23-109, A, C, D, and E, with an additional review of the architectural design.
And can I just note that that needs to take place within 90 days pursuant to the government code?
Okay,
Yeah, I think we can.
so within
facilitate-
90 days, we'll have that back in.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get that scheduled pretty quickly. Since
And
the
that's,
base of
that's
the-
per our agreement with the developer tonight, that he's agreed to this.
Yeah, if they're responsive to provide the kind of discussion, I think the applicant tends to be pretty responsive on that. We'll make sure that we get that scheduled as soon as possible.
Do we have a second on Tony's motion?
Yes, I
Okay. Okay, motion seconded, Miss. So all those in favor of the project, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yes.
Got one opposed, right? Okay, we have one opposed.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll bring back architectural review on that one. Okay,
We live in Yucaipa, but it's still in California, guys. Sorry about it.
okay, Ben, do we have any stuff you,
We will not have a second meeting of May. I can't believe it is already May. But we will have a meeting on June 5th. It will be a pretty packed one, so just
Get
be
prepared, huh?
ready. I would say as part of your guys' homework on the front end is make sure you're reading through the EIR for the freeway corridor specific plan, because that is on kind of a pending schedule. And we got some other kind of fun stuff coming your way, and then it's summertime, which is also crazy. And that's all I got.
okay, with that, meeting is adjourned.